Hey guys, here again with another Shurigorov knife video. This one is on the F5 Silk Blue. Now this knife was on loan to me by my friend Jetty. I'll go ahead and link his Instagram or Reddit, whatever he finds more suitable. This knife actually was in my possession quite a while ago, but now I have this one for the time being to do a review video on it. This knife debuted in 2017 at the Arms and Hunting Show in Russia, followed by USN G9 in late 2017. And this knife is the third iteration of the F5 lineup. We first had the initial F5, the F5 Silk Slim, which people I think are more familiar with. And then this third one right here, the F5 Silk Blue. Now notice I said that this is not the F5 Silk Slim Blue. That's because this knife has a 4mm blade stock. There's been people saying that this is an F5 Silk Slim Blue version. The knives are actually different in that regard. This knife has a standard 4mm blade stock that you would see in most Shirogorovs, not the 3.5mm that you see in the Silk Slim. Now, that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the measurements. To be honest, not really gonna measure this one out too much. You guys know that since this is an F95 size knife, you're basically looking at the same dimensions that you would see in any other F95 size knife. You have that 95-inch blade profile, 95mm blade profile, which translates into a little bit over 4 inches of usable cutting length. And then you have a overall length of just under 9 inches. More importantly though, let's take a look at the weight. Since this knife is kind of a 3D machined 95 with that 4mm blade stock. Let's see here, if we take a look at our scale and we put it on here, we can see that the knife is 4.56 ounces. Let's see right here. I don't have an F95 for comparison. I only have my F7. But for example, we can take a look here at a Hati, which has a composite show side, which is 4.24 ounces. So for being a full titanium knife, definitely not that much heavier than a knife that has a half carbon fiber side. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the blade. You can see here that this has the F5 profile, of course, being an F5. But again, what does that mean? You know, I always say that these newer custom division knives have an F5 blade profile. And of course, the F5 is where this came from. We have a blade with a long sloping belly, a long curved belly. We have a blade flat that is a little bit upswept towards the front here, and we have that wide style jimping. Now the F5 was really one of the first knives to have that kind of wide style jimping on a custom division, and we see that carried down now into the Neon Zero, which has an even wider jimping pattern actually. But before then, you know, we would see this normal, you know, tight jimping on the production Shirogorovs. And so this wide time jimping really set apart the custom division line at the time. Also to note, there are 2 blade grinds available, or that the F5 has, depending on the model and also actually the time of production. The older F5 Silk Slims, not the blues, had a taller blade flat due to the different angle on the primary bevel. The later run of F5 Silk Slims had a thinner blade flat. The F5 Silk Blues, to my knowledge, they all have that thinner blade flat here. So yeah, that upswept curve of the blade flat is less striking than you can see on the older F5 Silk Slims, but definitely is there. And when you have it in comparison to a normal F95 blade profile, you can see how this one has a little upswept here, as opposed to just going straight out on the F95. Now, taking a look at the handle here. Actually, one last thing to talk about is the blade steel, Van X 37. I believe this is one of the first knives to actually be using Van X37 in the custom division lineup. I don't believe prior to that there were any others. As many of you guys know, S90V is by far the predominant steel in the custom division lineup. There were some older knives that were using M390, very limited numbers, some F3s and stuff like that. Vanadis 10 is another one actually that's shown up in the custom division line. I think actually the 111 bronze of the same year in 2017 had a Vanadis 10 blade. But other than that, you know, Van X37 is a unique steel in the custom division lineup. You know, some people didn't really like that choice, I think, because, you know, there were production knives with Van X37, but I find that weird because, you know, there are production knives with S90V as well. But anyways, one other thing to note is, like other F5s, the blade flats are not satin finished, which is unique. Usually in the custom division lineup, you'll see blade flats that have a satin finish, and the F5 Silk Slims were the same way. Now, of course, like I said earlier, we have a 4mm blade stock, which is the exact same as what you would see on production knives. So you have that normal thickness and not the thin 3.5mm stock on the Silk Slim. You take a look at the handle here, you can see this gorgeous anodization with milling on the handles. That's where the Silk name comes from. We have a raised portion on the middle that has the milling and some relief cuts on the top and bottom of the handles. As you can see here, the logo is nicely integrated into the to the milled portion here. We also have, unlike the Silk Slim, we have a faux pivot collar, which is index, which helps keep the pivot from spinning on disassembly. And we have pivot collars, which the F5 Silk Slim also did not have. Now these are done in zirconium with a satin finish. If you could take a look here at the back spacer, you can see the satin finish on the zirconium, which is really nicely done. Another knife, the Neon Mark II, also has a brushed zirconium backspacer, but it's much more dramatic on the F5 Silk Blue here, since it's paired with a 4mm blade. So you have a wider backspacer to kind of show off that brushed finish. Now, going over here to the lock side, you can see that the milling pattern has continued along with the pivot collars. We have that custom division lock bar insert screw, and also the blind screwed clip with that curved type custom division clip. I really find that the long single point of contact works much better than this clip that you see here on the production F95. So it just goes in and out of the pocket a lot easier. Now, this knife has an amazing action. The Silk Slim that I had actually wasn't that nice, and I feel like the F5 Silk Blues were a little bit more variable in that sense. I've handled, I believe, 4 F5 Silk Blues in my lifetime, and some of them were a little bit gritty. None of them were really, I won't say gritty. They weren't really drop shot. They were very smooth. You know, this is on roller bearings. As you can see here, single rail roller bearings like any other custom division. They just didn't really fall shut. I don't know if that was really because of the lock bar tension. This one really flips well as well. But yeah, something to take note of, I guess, in my experience is maybe an action video if you're intending on buying based on the action. This one, however, has really nice action. I really appreciate that. It flips out with authority. That larger blade has a lot more mass and drops shut quite well. So really nice knife, and I think that this knife is a little underappreciated actually. Everybody wants that F5 Silk Slim with that 5mm blade, or sorry, 3.5mm blade. But you know, this knife with a beautiful blue. Now this blue is done on a there's no stonewash finish on this handle at all. So the blue shows up brilliantly alongside with that pattern here. On the Silk Slim and sheer rub knives in general, the production ones, you're gonna get kind of that tumbled finish here on the handles, which is to help hide wear. This knife is purely for going for those looks here. We have just a brightly blue anodized handle that really shows off how the vivid colors, the silk machining, milling right here. It's a really nice knife. But yeah, again, just really chronically underappreciated. I think people are really seeking out those F5 Silk Slims. However, to be honest, lately these days, it's been a couple of years since the knife came out, and these knives are becoming harder to find. I would say I've actually seen more Silk Slims being asked for and sold than these F5 Silk Blues. To me, it feels like they've just been kind of forgotten. Either that, or they've kind of settled in with the people who have really been seeking them out. But again, really nice knife. I've actually carried F5 Silk Slim for a while. This knife being just a little bit more 0.5 millimeters thicker in the blade, and I think 0.5 millimeters thicker in the handle. So overall 1 millimeter thicker overall. Would carry, I think, just the same way. Ergonomics wise, the contouring of the handles, the clip just makes it much more user friendly when it comes to using the knife, carrying the knife. And so the F5s are really a solid upgrade to the F95, and I think really this is the direction that the F95 needs to go. We have the F3, which even since the inception of the F3 with contoured handles was really nice, but the F95 is thinner. It's not, since it's a frame lock, and we're really hoping that we can see some of the features in the F5 trying to trickle down eventually to the F95. But until then, that's why we have the custom division line, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. I enjoyed having this knife again. Again, like I said, it's been a while since I've had one, so I really enjoy it, and you can't really beat this action. Really nice action. All right, see you next time, guys.